$500 billion in ad spend right now that is going to massively shift that direction. And if you've been spending only 5% or less of your ad budget on Creator, then it kind of has a pass on the ability to go be creative, be innovative, be thinking outside the box and experiment. But once that starts shifting to 5%, 10%, 20%, 30% of ad budget, as it absolutely will in the coming years, there's going to be increased scrutiny around how it's performing.
Explore the minds and marketing strategies behind today's winning brands and businesses. Tap into the power of the creator economy with Earned by CreatorIQ.
All right, good morning. Welcome, the two of you. Excited to have you here.
So excited to be here.
It's been beautiful here in New York too. It's like a golden ready for summer.
It is. I think we hit it really nicely. I mean, you're here permanently, but we got the goods.
Yeah.
Yes, this is kind of the time when you guys want to move here. So welcome.
But then don't come in like 2 months when it's hot, humid, and like maybe a little like trapping.
Yeah, not that time.
The shoulder seasons are the best. This is going to be a really special edition of Earned. You two are both on day, let me count. It's Friday today, 5 at CreatorIQ. Really excited to have you, Brig Graff, Jennifer Cho. Really today is just going to be about getting to know you, a little bit about your background, but more than that, kind of what stakes in the ground you're making here at CreatorIQ, how you see the space, and really what we can all expect of each other in the coming time. So again, thanks for spending the time with us and kind of opening up and letting us get to know you a little bit better.
Sounds great. We're excited to be here. Thanks, Brit.
Okay, I want to start by way of introductions. Jen, give me a little bit of background, who you are, what brought you here, relevant experience that guided you onto the couch today.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jennifer Cho. I'd consider myself a lifelong brand marketer. I've definitely sat on the agency side for a majority of my career. I have had some experience on the brand side in different verticals, music industry, sports and entertainment, and of course, most recently at a co-working space. But just really excited about being here at CreatorIQ because out of all of my experiences, I think influencer marketing and the creator economy is the new nucleus of everything that we're doing. And it's so exciting to join a winning team here at CreatorIQ that's leading in the space.
Love that. So as the new Chief Customer Officer, you're going to be focused on really bridging connections with our customers, learning from them, leading with them, building a team that can support and guide growth in the space. What do you think the role of customers are in kind of leading this nascent space, this shaping space that's growing so quickly?
I mean, it is the customer, right? It's the brands and the agency partners of these brands that are making these decisions, that are actually coming up with the campaigns, the work, innovating within the space in order to make influencer marketing exactly what it is. I think it's really exciting to be able to partner with so many amazing customers that CreatorIQ already has. So I'm excited to lean in and understand how we can support them better, how we can empower the team to be able to continue to be strategic partners to our customers and to be able to deliver winning campaigns and results.
All right, Brig Graff, you also join us on the couch today, our new SVP of Services. I want to get into kind of what that means, but first, can you give us the kind of 30,000-foot bio?
Yeah, sure. So early in my career, I started as a full stack developer and then ran global e-commerce at a number of large retailers. I then went over to the vendor side and was at Omniture, which is a powerhouse analytics platform that was bought by Adobe for a little less than $2 billion. Spent about 4 or 5 years there running a large global solution architecture team at Adobe. What's super interesting to me is that you get the greatest business outcomes when you focus on the outcome, not just tactical output. And I think a lot of professional services teams, they get into this habit of focusing squarely on delivering reports, delivering deliverables, executing a campaign, and that's valuable in itself. But when you up-level the analytical rigor, then it becomes extremely valuable to focus on business outcomes for your customers instead of just some output that I have for them. And that's where you get a real kind of force multiplier between smart brands, innovative individuals, and a strong professional services team.
It's interesting that you mentioned the analytical rigor because I think there's a lot of similarities between web analytics, which is kind of a part of your background, and where we are, which is there's white space ahead of us, right? Where are we right now in terms of the analytics, the metrics, the data that we have at our disposal and how we can like articulate, put those into practice in real life?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like that there's an ability to create a combination between creative and a very cerebral thinking about the sort of metrics that you can analyze the traits of content. Because it's one thing to spend the last 5, 6, 8 years, we've seen a lot of really creative output from creators and a really innovative thinking from smart brands. But there's kind of a moment now where we have enough track behind us. We can look back and look at the traits of all the content that's worked really well and draw a tight correlation between that and revenue output as well. And because we've got more ad budgets moving from digital spend, ads, pay-per-click, and the rest towards creator marketing, because as we know, it's much more efficient than a lot of other paths. And right now is a real critical moment for that. As those budgets move over, we get a lot more scrutiny on it as well. And so it's important to analyze what's going to deliver a business outcome and then produce content that aligns with that. Not just creativity for its own sake. Creativity is great, but pursuing a business outcome is the way to go.
Yep. We talk a lot about that in everything we do. So it's not just inputs to outputs, to your point, but it really is leading from an outcome-based place, whether that's how you discover creators, right? What outcomes are you trying to drive? Not all creators are created equally, right? Some creators are great conversion creators. Some creators are great awareness creators. Understand what you're trying to accomplish and kind of back into the work that needs to happen in order to accomplish that. So I really like that. Let's stick on outcomes for a while. Jennifer, in your work at CreatorIQ, what are some of the outcomes you're hoping to drive? And this can be very high level. Again, day 5, I'm not asking for detail. I'm not asking for your 30, 60, 90, but just in general, in looking forward into the next couple of years, what outcomes do you hope to have achieved with and for the company in the context of your role?
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting time within the creator economy right now, and to be able to partner with some of our clients. I'd love to get to a place where we are now kind of reinventing the next approach to influencer marketing here in the US. I think the global economy has caught up, and there are a lot of learnings to be able to pick up from around the world. So I'd love to be able to, as a global company, bring some of those international insights to the US creator economy, really drive that second cycle of what we're trying to do in the space. And of course, always continue to see big wins with our clients.
I love that. Okay, speaking of global, both of you not so secret shopped our London event. We had 800 marketers come together in London last month in May. You both were able to attend. What were some of your takeaways from that event? What did you learn about the company, the space, our customers? Be curious, Brig, I'll start with you.
Yeah. So what I found is that it's fascinating that we have a lot of very strong talent in the creator marketing space, and I knew that. But what was interesting to me is just to see how much political will within large organizations and large brands is shifting this direction. There's still only, I think it's less than 5% of digital ad spend that is spent on the creator economy. But those innovators who've been in it for 5, 6, 8 years right now, they know because it's efficient. It forms really well at a very reasonable cost and hitting across all levels of the funnel with the whole community of creators. I mean, that's $500 billion in ad spend right now that is going to massively shift that direction. And if you've been spending only 5% or less of your ad budget on creator, then it kind of has a pass on the ability to go be creative, be innovative, be thinking outside the box and experiment. But once that starts shifting to 5%, 10%, 20%, 30% of ad budget, as it absolutely will in the coming years, there's going to be increased scrutiny around how it's performing. And so it's those who've been in it for a few years now who have that innovative mindset and are now up-leveling that with turbocharged analytics and campaign execution.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I think we see both ends of that spectrum, right? So generally, yes, tiny portion of the total marketing spend and digital spend going to creators, but rapidly increasing, I think 145% over the last 4 years. With us, what we see is like industry leaders. So the companies that have been in this space that know what they're doing are significantly outspending their peers. So they're spending upwards of 50+% of their total marketing budgets on creators. And that's outspending kind of Gen Pop by 300+%. And they're showing the gains, right? Like the proof is in the pudding. So I think that is going to be a really interesting story to unpack a little bit, is like, what's the difference from kind of the companies that are still in experimentation phase? And then what are they not getting? What impact are they not driving that these companies who are fully investing, fully operationalizing around creators as true business and brand partners, not just as a creative and content channel, right? Not as a media channel, but as true brand and business partners, whether that's creative supply chain, whether that's consumer insights, whether that's, creating content for owned and operated.
Yeah, and there's going to be a distancing of the pack between those who have gotten it and who get it, that what creator marketing can do for them efficiently, and others who are kind of waiting around to see, well, wait a minute, how do I measure this right? How do I really justify the budget over there? Those who've been experimenting and have been moving their budgets into creator marketing, they already know it operates and they don't need to tell or justify it to every other brand out there. Instead, they'll just distance themselves further from the pack.
Yep, agreed. Okay, coming back to London, I think one of the things that I was so impressed with you, Jennifer, is that you leaned in. I saw you talking to everyone, team members, customers, speakers, production team. Like if there was a conversation happening, you were a part of it. I think you actually ended up in a lot of our video and photo footage. So I'm curious, what did you learn from those conversations? What were some of the highlights that stood out to you?
Yeah, I mean, number one, it was an interview process, right? We were learning the CreatorIQ team. So I thought it was really important to understand, who are our customers? Where are they in their, journey in influencer marketing? It was also great to be able to work with the entire staff that was staffing the event. I thought that's a really creative way for you guys to show off your customer team. And it gave me an opportunity to get to know the team that I'd be inheriting, which was really exciting. I thought all of the conversations were fascinating to me. I mean, we all live in the creator economy, right? One of the questions that we're going to talk about later is what is our purchase behavior within the influencer economy? So I think it's exciting to be able to work in this space, but also live in it. And there were so many conversations about how people were doing things differently, from smaller companies like challenger brands to some of the legacy brands, and how ultimately the nucleus is influencer marketing, right? It's just how it extends out.
We will get into kind of how you think about influence and how you are influenced in your daily life. But I do want to talk, so you were recently the CEO of CreatorTech. Talk to us about that experience working directly with creators, but also with brands. What did you learn from that experience specifically that will be relevant to the work that you're doing here?
Yeah, that's something that we started to talk about earlier, the maturity of influencer marketing in North America. CreatorTech had been around for 14 years. Technically, from a timeline perspective, that's before influencer marketing was called influencer marketing. So they were certainly ahead of the game, starting with celebrities and then going into paid campaigns with creators. I think the change in leadership with my leadership and what I learned very quickly was that business model is completely changing. I think what was interesting about just connecting London is the connection that EMEA and Asia are having with creator marketing and e-commerce and sales. So at CreatorTech, I had to really figure out a way to understand kind of a funnel that showed that ROI and that conversion. So shifting between just a truly just standalone paid creator model into how do you create, a funnel? How do you, again, that influencer marketing is the kind of core and nucleus of marketing. How do you take something from kind of top of funnel gifting and then move it into a paid relationship that actually is not transactional, has the stickiness, the authenticity that the brand needs in order to kind of be built to last.
So I think one of the things I appreciate, because I also come from an agency background, is the skills or felt sense you get for how to validate, how to storytell, how to bring data information to really connect the dots and make sure that you are able to unlock the resources that you need to kind of do the job, right? The pitch, if you will.
Yes.
I'm curious if you think that aspect, both internally, right? Getting the resources you need, helping to drive and shape the growth of the company, but also with the team and our customers. Is that a skill that you think will come in handy? Like that, again, that storytelling, how do you put all the pieces together to really help people place not just the what and how, but the why we are doing this and how it ultimately pays off?
I mean, we both come from the agency space. I do think it's really important to recognize that agency leaders, people that work at agencies, almost always have two jobs. So you have to understand the agency and how to be successful within the agency, but then you really have to immerse yourself in the client's business. What are they trying to accomplish? What are their business goals? And I think that's the value that I bring from leading teams at large agencies, that you can actually be so much more successful if you are intentionally in the client's business. You understand that you win together. And then again, just from the agency experience, if you're working across multiple clients, you're in multiple businesses. So it gives you so much lived experience in navigating challenges, opportunities across different verticals, different size companies. And I'm excited to bring the kind of strategy around navigating that space to the team here at CreatorIQ.
Okay, we talked a little bit about your focus on analytical rigor. I do want to tap into your experience with AI, agentic AI. I feel like you can't have a conversation today at all, but definitely about marketing without mentioning AI. What is your philosophy on AI, its role in kind of what we're here to do? And how do you see your experience accelerating the outcomes we're trying to drive?
I do think that obviously AI is changing a lot of what we're doing out there and what's happening in industry. I personally have built a lot in agentic AI. And what we're seeing now is such a consumer fracturing of where they get their information from. There might have been previously a way to do marketing media modeling that simply took into effect your paid media, your earned media, your own media. Now there's also people are deriving what their decisions, purchasing decisions and otherwise, directly from their interactions with AI. And that's a totally different operation to get visibility there. There's another where it's shown that they trust creators and humans to a higher degree. Oftentimes, we know about hallucination in AI, but they trust creators to such a higher degree. They oftentimes are also supplementing that with reaction from creators and direction from creators. I think this also couples with a dramatic increase in consumption of short form content, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and those algorithms have changed in a way that it's content first. It's not necessarily, a great follower count or something. And back in the world, I was COO of a large online retailer that we spun out of Overstock, and we worked with a large group of influencers that were in the action sports space. And when you're just choosing people off of their popularity and what is perceived popularity, their follower count, you can manage, dozens or hundreds of influencers with spreadsheets or other tools. But nowadays, content can go viral real fast, and it does not necessarily have much to do with the follower count behind it. And so if you're going to be in front of that and be part of it, then you need to be managing thousands of creators in your community, right? Thousands of creators in your community. And if you don't have those ready before a brand crisis happens, well, good luck trying to solve that crisis. That's why brand safety and cultivating a really large, long tail of creators that operate well at different strata of the funnel to what Jen was talking about. And as those creators operate at different funnels of it, you have a brand crisis, you have a brand moment, and you want to reach out. Those creators who've been talking about your brand, they're going to get inbound about that crisis. And so being able to, first of all, equip them to manage that brand crisis moment is extremely important. Number two, managing brand safety across thousands of creators is extremely important as well. But there's also, in that moment when it's happening and a crisis emerges, there's certain analytical approaches you can take to look at what I would call the three vertices of crisis management. You've got this heat index around the positivity or the negativity. You've got this acceleration rate, right? And then the third is the mass. So something might be growing fast, it has a negative tone, but depending on the mass, you might determine as a brand, am I actually going to inject myself in this conversation, or is that going to just introduce more oxygen to the crisis? Or do I just want to feed out to my advocates out there in a way that allows them to be authentic, right? Nobody wants to have a moment where, all your audience is like clips of the local news on a single video, all repeating the exact same word. That's not helpful.
Sure.
Right? What's helpful is having cultivated well in advance of that crisis a creator community that's well equipped to talk about the moment, and you can, they're ready for when you need to reach out and you decide, all right, now we are going to engage them, given what the three vertices of this crisis analytics is telling me, then we are going to engage them. We're going to brief them on exactly how they can handle inbound and do it in an authentic manner. Because, we might feel, and no brand wants to dream of the day when they have a brand crisis, right?
But they need the insurance policy for sure. It's so important to know the plan.
Yeah. The risk, they might feel the risk is low that I'm going to experience a brand crisis, but the consequence is high if and when it does happen.
Okay, two things I really like about that kind of come back to, I think foundationally, who we are, what we do. One is it's all about trust, right? I think the efficacy of that creator community, even in good times, but also in times of crisis, is that trust is already established, right? Through many interactions, through getting to know people. This is a human-based business at the end of it. And so building those relationships, nurturing those relationships, establishing that community, growing it over time in an authentic way prepares you to ride the waves of any business or human life, right? There are ups, there are downs, things go sideways sometimes. And so I think it all comes back to trust, which I love. It's one of the things that I love about this space. I want to talk about your values. I think, trust is a big one in this space. It's also one that I have. I'm curious, as leaders at CreatorIQ and in the space, what values do you hope to bring into the company? Do you lead from? Like, what is your foundation? Kind of what guides you in the way you show up every day?
I think more than just values, I think as a leader, it's really important to me to ensure that my people have the safety in order to have that trust go both ways. I think a lot of that is being able to approach leadership from an etiquette perspective. We're not going to fight each other in the office. I guess some companies do that, but that's not traditionally what happens. How do you create a language and a culture code where people feel empowered to bring different opinions to the table? They feel safe in expressing those conversations, their thoughts, their lived and learned experience. How do we bring that all together so that we can all learn and grow in a way that, lifts the entire ship, right? So I think that's it's kind of the guiding principle in how I inherit teams, how I enable them, and how I empower them in order to be their best selves.
I love that. So trust, openness, culture of learning, and communication. It's great. What about you, Brig?
Yeah, I'd agree 100% with that. I feel like that there's kind of two pillars to the way I think about operating. And number one is 100% customer focus, right? 100% customer focus. If you have that, then everyone can align. If you align on vision and you align on incentives, and you align on the customer, then you're going to be able to march forward in a strong way. The other, I do believe that it's important to, and I know Jen and I both feel the same way about this, having interacted together, bringing a cerebral approach to unique and creative problem solving. And in doing that, then you set the team up on the best path. It's not just momentum driven. It's not just vibe driven. It's very cerebral and thoughtful and operating from first principles in how we're going to operate and run. And if we do that with a focus on the consumer 100%, there's nothing better than that. For me, I played rugby as a teenager and then through various clubs growing up. There's nothing I love more than being side to side with a bunch of other people that you trust and you're pushing that scrum forward, right? That's the way I feel it is in business too. The most rewarding moments in life are when you're side to side with other smart people and you're all pushing towards an objective, ideally to the benefit of the business outcomes of a customer.
Yeah. How do you create that proximity, that closeness, right? Like when you said scrum, I'm thinking literal scrum. How do you create that in a hybrid or remote environment?
It's a combination of bringing people together and creating that, safety for us to have those conversations even across the screen on Zoom, right? I do believe in remote work. I believe in the flexibility, but I think it's really important to be able to bring the in-person element and bring the teams together, especially ones that are working closely side by side, to be able to kind of enhance and complement the working relationship that you have remotely.
Yeah, it's a work in progress, I think, for me. I'm definitely like an in-person person. And so I think working remotely has stretched me in ways that, I don't know, have taught me how to communicate in new and different ways, taught me the importance of figuring out what my virtual version of like tapping somebody on the shoulder is. Like that access, I think, becomes really important in a remote environment. I think it's interesting. I'll be curious to see how companies in general, but our company specifically, evolves over time with that. We were able to be in person together this week, which is lovely and a great way, I think, to kick off the first week, although I'm sure very overwhelming. I'm curious, what is one thing that you learned from each other?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just share around Jen. She's got deep past experience, especially in beauty and in the agency space. And obviously, the creator marketing has been huge in the beauty industry, fashion and beauty, and luxury brands. She has a depth of experience in that, and I think that is extremely powerhouse to bring into CreatorIQ.
Thank you, Brig.
Yeah.
So with my conversations with Brig this week, I've been really impressed with, number one, his operational rigor and excellence. I mean, such a broad range of experience in building and leading successful teams and executing, work at scale, right? I've also been fully impressed by the level of nerdiness in his data intelligence. I mean, I have to confess, that is not the space that I excel in. I love partnering with really brilliant minds
Or
to
a
make
good
me
1-2
smarter.
punch.
Yeah. So I feel like it all makes sense from a hiring perspective that we can complement each other in so many ways and bring both of our breadths of experience to CreatorIQ.
Yep, I love that. Well, thank you so much for being here today, but more importantly, thank you so much for being here kind of at this point with us as a company, as a team, as an industry. I think the next 6 months for CreatorIQ are just going to be completely transformational. And I know you two are going to play a huge role in that and what we can do to really grow our industry together with our customers. I know you share this, but I'm just so bullish on the power of creators and what they can do for brands and business. And so I'm really excited to have you on the team that's leading the charge forward. Thanks so much.
So
Absolutely.
excited to be here. Thank
Amazing
you, Brit.
moment.
Be a friend, tell a friend, and subscribe. Earned by CreatorIQ. CreatorIQ is your all-in-one solution to grow, manage, scale, and measure your influencer marketing program. Ready to unlock the power of the creator economy? Get started with a demo today at CreatorIQ.com.